And I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Welcome to drboystv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. And today on drboystv.com, I'm going to talk a little bit about politics for a minute. There is a brother by the name of Eric Adams. Eric Adams is the mayor of New York City. And a writer with MSNBC just called Adams the Black Trump. And it's because they're having some major disputes over immigration right now. And I'm going to talk about what's going on there and also let you guys know that this is White Supremacy 101, and it's coming from your platforms like MSNBC. And I'm going to break it down to you and explain it to you. Get comfortable, buckle up a seatbelt, hit that thumbs up button. We're going to get started on drboystv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Please, none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
drboystv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. What's going on, everybody? I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Give me a yes in the chat if you can hear me okay. Let me know if you can hear me. I want to make sure that my sound is coming through all right, so we can have a good conversation here. I'm not going to take a ton of your time today, and I got things to do as well. We all have things to do on this Sunday. But I want to talk to you guys about something that I just saw in the media that I thought was worth explaining and discussing because it does link back to a financial conversation. It does link back to the things that we experience as a people. It does link back to the things that I think we should sort of pay attention to. This is sort of the writing on the wall, the stuff that some of us might miss. And so it has to do with New York City Mayor Eric Adams. Now, give me a yes if you know who Eric Adams is, if you're familiar with this brother. He's the mayor of New York, and he's a Democrat. And he's having some problems right now. Right now, there is a massive immigration situation going on in New York. It's really, really fascinating, actually. What happened here, it appears, and again, I'm not an expert on this, but I'm a black expert. I'm going to be a black expert today. Black expert means I'm an expert on the black angle of this, but not so much on what Democrats and Republicans are doing, because you guys know I don't get involved in that type of stuff. So anyway, it looks like Eric Adams is having this problem with immigration in New York City. Now, how many of y'all, anybody live near New York? Anybody been there? Apparently, they've had tens of thousands, if not over 100,000 people sent to the city. New York, Chicago, other cities, I guess they're labeled as sanctuary cities, where they say, look, hey, if you're illegal, you can come here and it's okay. And honestly, I'm gonna tell you the truth, that never made sense to me. Given how many black people have gone to prison for committing federal crimes, including people in my own family, I just don't understand how somebody could commit a federal crime and not even be an American. Yes, babe, you need me? I'm live right now, babe. Do you need something? Okay, that's my wife. She sometimes she comes in and pulls on the door. I'm live. You need to come in the chat instead of banging on my door, lady. Okay, I love you. See, that's what happens in our house. Y'all see this? Do y'all see this? I'm up here trying to have an intelligent conversation with intelligent black people. I got company. I got hundreds of people. I got company here. And my wife up here, I'm going to the grocery store. See, y'all need to stop that. Like, seriously, I won't respect my authority. That ain't, damn, the hell, man. See, that's married life. Don't y'all ever go around thinking I'm telling everybody to go get married. Marriage comes with ups and downs. I'm being silly. I love my wife, and she's pretty too, and she's smart. So, you know, I'm happy to be her husband. Anyway, let's get back to it. All right. So Eric Adams, hit the thumbs up button, by the way. Please hit the thumbs up button. Eric Adams is going through it because there was an immigration issue down on the southern border. Texas has been dealing with this for a long time. There has been major problems in Texas with border towns that have become horrifically dangerous because they let anybody and everybody and their mama into the country. And terrible crimes happen there. Horrible things are happening. They don't talk about it in the media for some reason. I don't understand that. It's almost like there's a mass manipulation in terms of them not telling you what's really happening. The same way they try to convince us that things like black on black crime doesn't exist. Well, I'm like, I don't care how you label it, I don't care what you call it, but when my homeboy got shot in the head in front of his daughter, I want to know what that crime is so I can stop it. Because my friend, his name was Greg Wilkins. It was years ago, but it still affects me. I still talk to his daughter all the time, and she's still affected. Because I don't know if you've ever known what it's like to lose your father. It's a terrible feeling, and I just think it's unfortunate that because he was not killed by a cop or killed by a Klansman, nobody pays attention. Well, maybe these people that are doing bad things to other black people, maybe they're not cops, maybe they're not Klansmen, but they're certainly dirtbags as far as I'm concerned. In my opinion, if you're a black person and you kill another black person, you're worse than the Klan, because we don't expect that from you. So anyway, with this immigration thing, what's interesting is people have sort of tried to shape it and frame it in some political context. And I think that what occurs is that we just get to the point where we don't believe we have a right to believe anything other than what the Democrats or the Republicans tell us to believe. And I think that all people who are intelligent, free thinkers should be offended by this. I'm not telling you what to think, because I would be disrespecting your intelligence by telling you what to think. I'm just telling you what I think and what I see. And so with this immigration issue, one thing that was really interesting, and I think the Republicans had a right to do this. The mayor or governors of Texas and Florida said, okay, you want to let all these people into the country, cool. And you got a sanctuary city, bet. We're gonna put them on a bus and drop them off at your house. Right? It's like that man that says, I need you to make sure you have my baby. Well, some women might be like, okay, well, I'm gonna bring the baby to your house so you can help babysit the baby, right? So you can help keep this baby and not just dump it on me, right? Because that's the thing. A lot of people want to make decisions, but they don't want to have any accountability. So I thought it was an interesting experiment. And as expected, the city started buckling. They started freaking out. They were like, wait a minute, wait. We like immigrants in theory, but we don't really want them in our houses, in our neighborhood. We don't want them near us, right? They do the same thing with homelessness. There was a study, and it was reported in the New York Times, where they surveyed a lot of the most liberal places that they had the most, I guess, belief in terms of policies that allegedly support the homeless and everything else. But then they said, okay, we're going to put affordable housing in your neighborhood. How do you feel about that? And most of them were like, hell no. Oh, no. We don't want to be near those people. We just believe in giving them some money or something, right? So I think that lack of common sense, that lack of reality, is an interesting thing I've noticed that kind of happened with a lot of my liberal friends, is that I think they don't understand that wanting something in theory is very different from wanting something in reality. At the same time, though, I can't say that my conservative friends are on the right page. I still don't understand how so many, toothless rednecks who are on welfare fell in love with a New York billionaire named Donald Trump. I still don't understand it. I followed Trump for many years. I never thought he was a great guy. I never hated him or liked him. I just didn't think much about him. But the idea that they suddenly think he's their savior makes me sad, because it shows we have a country that's looking for a savior, and it's a country that has no savior. And so at the end of the day, you have to save yourself. Give me a yes if you understand what I'm saying. So anyway, so this situation with Eric Adams, what the most recent development that was really fascinating to me had to do with MSNBC. They had this writer named Johan Jones, I think that's his name. And he wrote an article and he referred to Eric Adams as the Black Trump. And as soon as I heard him being referred to as the Black Trump, and the reason he called him the Black Trump is because Adams made a very logical, again, when you start getting practical and realistic with extreme liberal people, they tend to sort of buckle and get scared. They freak out. They're like, wait a minute, you're talking about reality here. We're talking about fantasy. So he basically said the reality is that, yes, we are a sanctuary city for sure, but we can't afford to take in all these people. We can't afford to take in all these people. And it's been really interesting to watch, because the mayor of New York is fighting with the governor, and then the governor is fighting with the president. And the mayor of New York, Eric Adams, in my view, is the one being thrown under the bus. But that's what he signed up for. That's what he signed. No different from all y'all. You know how it is. The black man's always going to get thrown under the bus first. So they're throwing Eric Adams under the bus. And now MSNBC is creating all these other narratives about him not being about it, not being a real Democrat, kind of being a Trump supporter kind of person. And I've never seen him say he's voting for Trump, but I saw the same politics occur when I was working with Ice Cube and he was challenging the Democrats and the Republicans. They started mislabeling him in corporate media as a Trump supporter. And I talked to Cube myself and I said, you never thought about voting for Trump, did you? He said, hell no. So the thing is that they lie. They will blatantly lie, right? This is politics. This is how it works. So with Eric Adams, this brother that wrote this article, called him the Black Trump. Here's another interesting fact about this article. When I heard about the article, when I heard he was referred to as the Black Trump, I was like, wait a minute, the Black Trump? Who called him Black? I knew instantly. I said, I bet this article was written by a Black person. Now, mind you, MSNBC got a whole lot of white people they can write. They got a ton of white writers. But when a Black person makes a racial slur toward another Black person on a white-owned platform, you know what that is. It's usually a Black person saying something about a Black person that white people cannot say, right? Because they know that it would be called racist or whatever, right? So effectively what occurs in politics, and this is one of the things that becomes offensive to me, is that Black people often get used as pawns in a bigger political game. I picked up on this the most years ago, over a decade ago, when Slate magazine, when all the Democrats were really mad at Cornel West. I don't know if y'all remember. Give me a yes if you remember this. A lot of Democrats were really mad at Cornel West when Obama got elected. Y'all remember that? They got so mad at him because Cornel was one of the people who, and Cornel told me this himself. We spent a lot of time together in New York. We spent 6 hours together one day, and he told me about this whole story. He was one of the people that helped to get Obama in a position where Black people would support him. But what they didn't expect is that Cornel is also a guy who has certain ethical standards, and he's also very intelligent. So if you make a promise to him, you can't just promise something and not keep the promise. He's going to expect you to keep the promise. So what occurred was he supported Obama extensively to get him in a position where Black people would support him. But then what happened was, when he got into office, it's like, oh, well, screw Black people. Who cares? Right? Black people don't matter no more. Right. And I saw this again. These are things I've seen myself. This is not things I'm speculating on because I've dealt with the White House and all that. And so anyway, so Cornel started becoming a critic of Obama. But now he wasn't trying to be a hater. Right. People are like, oh, why are you hating? Why are you hating? Well, that's small minded thinking. That's baby level thinking. That's non-strategic thinking. If you just say, oh, you a hater, because no, it's like sometimes people will critique something out of love. They'll say, wait a minute, hold on. We made a deal. You made me a promise. You need to keep your promise. And so effectively, Cornel West was being called a hater, and they were really mad at him. But they were like, "We can't go at this Black guy because Obama can't talk about him because Obama's up here, Cornel's up here, down here. Also, we can't get white people to talk about him because white people don't have a lot of credibility when describing the actions of a Black man. They're going to get called racist or whatever. So you know what they did? They went and they got Michael Eric Dyson. And they said, we're going to weaponize our platform to help you go and drop a nuclear bomb on another Black man. We're going to give you 10,000 words. I think his article was 10,000 words. And in case you don't know, that's a lot of words. You could write a book with you could damn near write a book with 10,000 words. They gave him the longest article I've ever seen in Slate Mag. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't read Slate a lot, to be honest with you, but I've never seen an article that I was reading it like, damn, like this article doesn't stop. And in the whole piece, all he was doing was discrediting Cornel West. And that's a political game also, not to prove you wrong, but just to simply discredit you. Because if I discredit you, that means I don't even have to address your question. So the discrediting of somebody is a standard political tactic. And what they did was they weaponized the platform. They supplied the missiles. And then they said, you go fight the war, and we're going to act like you chose to do this by yourself. When really, the actions of the puppet don't mean anything. I look at the puppet master. When I'm talking about the puppet master, I'm not saying Dyson's stupid. He's a smart guy. I know Dyson too. Dyson explained to me directly a lot of his issues with Cornel West. I listened to him because I really loved him, and I still do. I respect him as a brother. I don't know how he feels about me now because I made it clear. I said, I don't like the way you're attacking Cornel because that's not your job. If those white folks have an issue with him, let them go do the dirty work. Why in the hell? This is what I'm getting at. This is what I'm getting at. Liberal, conservative, doesn't matter. They love to use Black people to do their dirty work. So when I saw this article by Jahan Jones calling another Black man the Black Trump, one thing I knew for sure is that this article would have no national distribution if somebody at MSNBC corporate had not weaponized this man's words by giving him a platform. Without the platform, without the financial backing, again, this is what makes it an economic conversation. The lack of control that we have of our own media causes this nonsense to occur. So because they can write a check and they have a big platform, they have distribution, they could take his words and launch them out to the entire country. If he was writing this on his blog or saying it, in his own house or saying it on a YouTube channel, nobody would have heard it. But because it's on MSNBC, the whole country sees it. So you effectively have this black on black crime being facilitated by those who are the gatekeepers, those who are the chess masters, those who are, or better yet, if you play Dungeons and Dragons, you remember the dungeon master. The dungeon master was the person who was almost like a god. They could decide who was going to fight who was going to have what, and how things are going to play, almost like your pieces on a chessboard. So one of the things I can tell you is that the reason that you must, as Black people, commit yourselves, if you are B1, if you care about the community, we must, for the next 50 years, commit ourselves to Black independent ownership of all things that matter for the community, like media, things like that. Because what happens now is that MSNBC would never let Johan Jones write a damn thing if he wasn't speaking in a way that was consistent with their agenda. Give me a yes if you understand what I'm saying. He is, if you want to call him a house Negro, you could use that terminology because he is living inside somebody else's house. Eric Adams could also be called a house Negro because he's in somebody else's house. Everything about his platform, everything about his power is owned and controlled by somebody else. And so Eric Adams is in trouble because he violated the rules of the house. The Democrats said, Negro, we brought you in this world. We can take you out. And that's exactly what they're doing to Eric Adams. Because as Dr. Claude Anderson talks about with Powernomics, his book is called Powernomics. It's at powernomics.com. Every Black person needs to read Dr. Anderson's books. I've said this repeatedly because he talks about real power. That's why they're so scared of him. One thing that he does in the beginning of Powernomics is he defines what power is. Power is the ability to pursue your agenda despite the opposition of others. It does not say power is the ability to pursue your agenda because somebody else gave you a platform. It doesn't say power is the ability to pursue your agenda with the permission of white folks. It doesn't say power is your ability to do what you want to do as long as somebody else says it's okay. No, power means you can do what Deion Sanders and that wonderful football team did in that game last night. I don't know if y'all saw that game. It was one of the greatest games of the year. I really enjoyed watching Coach Prime play. I was really impressed with his son as a quarterback. They're really doing some special things in Colorado, and I thought that other team was very dirty. They put Travis Hunter out and just with a dirty hit. I didn't like the way it was played, but still, I was impressed. And the way they won that game is they won that game without the permission of the opposition. They never at one time asked the other team, hey, do you mind if we get a W today? No, they had to go take it. So effectively, for Black people, we have to understand that neither one of these men is a powerful man. Both of these men are almost like, sorry, I'm choking. Let me choke. Hit the thumbs up button while I choke for a second. Hold on. All right, y'all. I hope y'all don't mind. I don't know why I'm coughing. I think when I get excited, I start. Somebody drink some water. Okay. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I know that's weird. And then earlier, y'all heard me yelling with my wife, so y'all get a chance to see everything going on in my house. But anyway, so with both of these guys, neither one of these men is powerful. Both of these men remind me of this lamp. There's a lamp right here that is that's lit up, that's lighting this room. This lamp has no power. This lamp has no power. This lamp, if I unplug this lamp from the wall, this lamp will turn off. It becomes dark. If you unplug this lamp from its power source, then it has no power. It doesn't have power. It has the perception of power. So somebody who doesn't understand power would look at this lamp and think, wow, this lamp is generating electricity. But they don't understand that this lamp has no power without its power source. So a lot of your shiny Negroes who shine just like this lamp, be on magazines shining, be running for office shining, writing articles shining. A lot of your shiny Black folks don't have any power because their power disappears if you unplug them from the power source. That means that there's somebody sitting in the background, massa is always watching and saying, okay, I will let you borrow my power as long as you do what I need you to do. As long as you agree to do my dirty work, then it's all good. But the minute you get off track, the minute you start acting like you're a real boy, Pinocchio, the minute Pinocchio starts thinking he's a real boy, they're gonna tackle that ass. Next thing you know, he will be gone. He will disappear. He will disappear. Give me a yes if you understand what I'm saying. Both of these guys, if they get out of line with the Democratic Party agenda, will disappear. They are hired guns, hired soldiers, paid mercenaries. They're not fighting a war they believe in. They're fighting a war they're being paid for. You need to understand the difference so you can understand what power looks like and what's going to be required, the long, hard work that's going to be required to achieve this thing that we talk about called freedom. Let me tell you a little story. When I first got started doing what I do, when I was on the faculty at Syracuse University, and I started going on TV and I was speaking on issues related to race, and I was really speaking more from a common sense standpoint, not from a Democrat or Republican standpoint, I got caught in the crossfire of a fight between Bill O'Reilly and CNN. Next thing you know, I got banned. I got blackballed from CNN and from Fox. So I had no platform, nothing. And one of the things that I just doubled down on that I'd already started doing, I noticed that whenever a black man speaks out of turn or speaks in a way that is not consistent with someone else's agenda, the first thing they do is they take away his platform. If he's writing books, they'll kill his book deal. If he's got a TV show, they'll kill his TV show. If he's on the radio, oh, they're gonna take him off that channel. So I said, what we got to do is it's gonna be hard and it's gonna take more work. It's gonna take more sacrifice. Is we have to have an independent space where we can truly do what we want to do. So to this day, when I write books, when I wrote my latest book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, I did not go through Simon and Schuster to write that book. I didn't go through Penguin Publishing. I went through Boyce Watkins Enterprises to write that book. I make the decision of whether or not that book's going to be released, when it's going to go out, how many copies are going to be printed. My kids, if you order my book, you can go to boycewatkins.com and get a copy if you want to. All my books are there. My kids are the ones who will ship that book to you. A family business. Ain't got to ask nobody for permission. When I talk to you, when I made the decision to go on the air and talk to you today, I didn't have to go ask my boss. I don't have to go talk to anybody. I'm not beholden to anybody. I say what I want when I want. I could go live with you at 2:00 in the morning and say whatever the hell I want, and I can do that. Now, there's some limitations, though, because some of these platforms, as you know, are owned by other people, YouTube and Instagram and all that. I don't know how to build a YouTube necessarily, and I don't know how to get enough traffic to a YouTube to really make it work. So we have to work with YouTube. But fortunately, they don't give us too many problems, although I think they did shadow ban our channels. That's why, even though we have over 1 million subscribers on different channels, it's hard to reach everybody. So that's why if you hit the notification bell, that might help, but I don't know. But one thing we are working on to deal with that actually is we did create a social media platform that's independent of Facebook, YouTube, and all that stuff. It's called Blag Enough, and it's spelled BLAGGENUF. That's BLAGGENUF. And I put it on the screen for those of you that are watching on YouTube. And that's still run by a company called Mighty Networks, but it's independent of the censorship that you deal with on some of these platforms because they got very political. It's been now proven that the Biden administration was managing and censoring Twitter. And so effectively what we do is we're on a lot of platforms because we want to have an independent voice. So my point is to say this. When I, the thing that you have to understand, the reason that ownership is so important and independent ownership and building is so important is because that's the only way you can actually really have true power. A lot of us, we get tricked. We get the illusion of power. We see something, we think that borrowed power is the same as actually having real power. It's almost like somebody who thinks that if I babysit enough kids, then that makes me a parent. No, you're not a parent. You're still a babysitter. No matter how many daycares you worked at, no matter how many kids you babysat, none of that. Those are not your children. And so the same, because being a parent requires much more work. It requires much more sacrifice. You got to be in it 10 toes down to truly raise a child and have a connection with that child. So when business, what I find is that we'll go chasing pre-existing institutions. Like, well, I'm a writer. Well, I want to get on an MSNBC so I can have an instant platform. You're not thinking like, okay, I'm going to spend 3, 4, 5 years building my own platform. I'm going to go get on an MSNBC because that's going to make me into somebody special, or I want to have some political power. So instead of actually doing the hard work and working with the resources in your possession, you say, well, if I can get an endorsement from the Democratic Party, then I can shine. I can be I'm going to be like that lamp. I'm going to shine. Everybody's going to see me because I'm plugged into a power source. Now, I'm not saying that that's always terrible. I'm saying that it has limitations though. And in fact, if you look at my own career, one of the ways I built my first platform was I actually did work at AOL Black Voices. But the whole time I was there, I said, okay, I'm gonna plug into this source to get the initial power I need, the initial spark. But long term, I'm going to start digging in the trenches. So that was when I actually started building my first email list, my first whatever, because I said at some point, these folks are not going to like what I have to say. At some point, I'm going to say something that's going to challenge their thinking. I cannot, as a conscientious Black man, truly confront racism without at some point saying something that's going to piss off a lot of white folks and piss off a lot of Black folks. I can't. You cannot be a free thinker in a society that is brainwashed and open your mouth without offending some people who are addicted to the wrong ideas. We are addicted to the wrong pathways. We deeply believe in things that have proven to not work, and because deep thinking is not necessarily encouraged, we have people that literally will do things and do them repeatedly just because everybody else is doing it, or do it repeatedly just because grandma used to do it, or because somebody told them to do it. It's utterly fascinating to me. And if you ever want to know what one of my biggest frustrations is as a scholar, as a person who likes to think about stuff, is some stuff that comes crystal clear to me. I don't understand why other people don't see it. I look at them like, nobody else sees this. You don't understand how this does not work. So rather than being mad about it, I just do what is required. And then also, I want to tell you guys, when you're talking about all these celebrities, these shiny Negroes who are plugged into the power source, most of them don't have any real power. Like, for example, if you look at poor Diddy is shiny. He's always been shiny. He's been shiny for 30 years. He's on the cover of magazines, is this wealthy guy. And I don't have any disrespect for him. But one thing that was interesting to me was that when his power source decided that they didn't want to treat him right, he suddenly came out as an oppressed Black man. You remember that, when he was like, oh, it's so hard, and this racism, they mistreating me. And I'm like, but wait, I thought you had all this power. Like, you can't just, do what you got to do and still make your millions of dollars. Like, I don't understand why we're supposed to identify you almost like a guy who is a UPS employee who's being discriminated against for a promotion. You're not a UPS employee, man. At some point, you got to graduate to the realm of ownership and true control. The reason a lot of people don't do it, I'm going to tell you exactly why I think people don't do it. It's because of the difference between instant gratification and delayed gratification. That's it. Instant gratification and delayed gratification. A lot of people go for the easy pathway as opposed to doing the work required to build big institutions. If you look at most major corporations in America, like I mentioned UPS earlier, or McDonald's or whatever, and you read their histories, you'll see those companies took decades to grow into the powerhouses that they became. Walmart, Sam Walton was in so much trouble financially that they were telling him to shut the business down. Sam Walton, who started Walmart. He had to get on an airplane to go beg the bank for financing, because if they did not give him that loan, Walmart would not exist. That's how. So he had to go through the struggle. He had to be in it 10 toes down. He had to make a long-term sacrifice. And now, a couple of generations later, all of his children and grandchildren are multi-billionaires because he made the long-term sacrifice. That's a culture. That's a mindset. Somebody put it in his head that the long game was more important to play than the short game. And so when I look at people that we're taught to admire that are on TV, I don't see people playing the long game. I see people saying, look at me, I got an endorsement deal with Coca-Cola, or look at me, I'm an executive at Xerox, or look at me, I got a record deal with Universal Studios or Universal Records or whatever. I don't respect that as much as the person who's got a business that's maybe 1/1000th that size, who says, well, yeah, but you know what? I'm the CEO of this record label over here, and we do everything in-house, and this is our stuff. We control this, right? And that second person who's building the small Black business is not going to get the same shine and respect as the person that's being splattered all over TV, pretending to be powerful, pretending to be an owner. So what happens, unfortunately, is that because you don't have a culture yet that commits you to making those sacrifices, where you don't, because it's all built on self-esteem. In order for me to build anything that I have right now, and I'm not bragging or anything. I don't even brag about, money and stuff like that, because I think that's kind of corny. But I will just to give you an inkling of things. We have raised over $20 million. Quiet as kept. Don't talk a lot about it. And most of that money has gone into supporting Black-owned schools, hiring Black people, hosting the All Black National Convention, and doing all kinds of things in the community that are consistent with the vision that I've expressed to you on this platform damn near every single day for the last 12 or 13 years. I've done over 20,000 videos. And if you know me, you know I'm very consistent. I might be a jerk sometimes, but I'm a consistent jerk. You might hate me, but at least you're going to be consistent about what you hate about me, because I'm not going to change. I'm just in this. You can't stop me, period. So how do we do all that? Well, we did all that because we believed in what we were doing. I had to focus. I had to believe enough in what I was doing to accept the idea, the almost unrealistic idea, that what I was doing was more important than what he was doing or she's doing or what white folks are doing. And the other thing I did not do is I did not compare myself to white folks. I did not look at some institution that's been around for 50 years and making a 10 billion a year and compare my little crappy little outfit to something that's been around for 50 years. Yeah, y'all got a 50-year head start. You've been around since the 1930s. Of course I can't catch up with you. But wait till you see what we have 100 years from now. Wait till you see what I'm building, and wait till you see what our kids are building, and give it about 50 or 60 years. It's because the people that are going to control the future are not the people who are what I call the fly-by-night crowd, the people that just, tack on to the Shining Eagles, tacking on to somebody else's power structure. The people that are going to have the real power long-term are the people who make that long-term build and commit to that long-term sacrifice. I'm talking about that person who, brick for brick, starts his business that's getting almost no attention from anybody. You have very little shine. You have lots of struggle, right? And it doesn't make sense to you at the time, but you commit to it anyway, and you keep pouring into the thing that you're building. Some of your businesses are going to be worth $100 million or $1 billion within a generation or so. And then on top of that, not only will you have control of this massive Death Star of economic possibility, but you're going to really be able to make decisions without having to constantly ask for permission. Most quote unquote successful people in our community that get marketed to us are not owners and controllers of anything. They're simply people that got hired to do a job, and they become almost like mascots or representatives of a bigger power structure that sits behind them. What I'm looking for the next generation, and we will have this, we're going to have more of these, are the Black Elon Musks. Elon Musk has an enormous amount of power. He has the ability to make decisions independently. He decided he didn't like Twitter, so he was able to just go buy it. That also requires some backing from banks and whatever, right? So that's a white privilege thing. That's something that he gets that a lot of Black people don't get. But at the same time, he's able to make moves and make decisions without having to go ask his boss. I want your kids to be in that same situation. That's my point. So when I saw this, going back to this whole article that I saw on MSNBC, where this guy was calling Eric Adams the Black Trump, stuff like that annoys me because I've seen it so many times. I've seen so many times where a white-owned media outlet will grab a Black person. They'll say, okay, we're mad. We want to attack this Black person here. So rather than doing it themselves, they'll go get some hired Negro who's looking for an opportunity and say, here, we want you to go attack that person. And the same thing happens in hip hop too. In hip hop, you have artists all the time that are funded by people who don't look like us, but they're funded to destroy your culture. Nobody knows where that rapper Sexy Red came from. Nobody knows where Suki Hana came from. Nobody knows where even the Cardi B's of the world. For some reason, for whatever reason, you have a lot of Black women who think that rappers are supposed to be hoes. If you want to succeed in entertainment, you have to sell your body for $2.50. But there is no white version of a Cardi B. There is no white version of a Suki Hana. There's no white version of a Sexy Red. And so specifically, this is what's specifically done to you. This is where capitalism and economic power, disproportionate economic power, is used to harm and manipulate you. So the only way you can fight back against that is you have to build your own institutions, which means also simultaneously you must divest from supporting the institutions that harm you. So, for example, a lot of us are in the habit of going to some big white-owned university, going $100,000 in debt, so that we're going to die in debt, so that this institution can flourish. And let me tell you what they do with the money. They take the money, they go buy up black neighborhoods with that money. USC surrounded by black people. They don't like that. So they go and they buy all these neighborhoods so they can make them safe and clean so their students can have great places to hang out, right? So effectively, we participate in that because our best athletes play for these universities. And we also go in debt in order to get that degree because we value that piece of paper so much. I'm not saying that college degrees are bad, but if I was doing it over again, I would still get a college degree, but I would get it from the lowest cost place I possibly could. And then at that point, I would go do as much learning as I needed to do in other spaces. And I would try to learn in spaces that are owned and controlled by black people. That's what I would do, right? Because what happens, unfortunately, is not only do you not get the support that you need to build your own institutions, but a lot of the support that you could give to yourselves and to each other is diverted to support the other people who don't support you. So Dr. Claude Anderson refers to this in Powernomics as the doctrine of unequal exchange. The doctrine of unequal exchange is where you're giving them this much and they're giving you that much. So if I'm giving you this much and you're giving me that much, then my profit in that partnership is measured by, so let's say I'm giving you 20 and you give me back 5. Well, my profit is 5 minus 20. What's 5 minus 20? Is 5 minus 20 a positive number or a negative number? What do you think? If you're giving me 5 and I'm giving you 20, because that's kind of what we do with everyone else. We give them 20, they give us 5. If we get that much, sometimes they give us 0, right? 5 minus 20 is my profit. Revenue minus expenses. Is that a positive number or a negative number? That is a very, very negative number. So if you ever want to figure out, why do black people not have any wealth? Well, how in the hell can you have wealth if you are engaged in negative business? How can you have water in your bathtub if the leak is bigger than the size of the faucet? How can you acquire? I mean, wealth is an accumulation process. It's very basic, actually. Wealth is just accumulating things. It's getting more than you give away. So think about it. If you go into relationships, and every relationship you're giving more than you're getting, then those are not positive, profitable relationships. You're going to be drained. So you get financially drained because you were also psychologically tricked. And part of the way you were tricked is not just how they trick you into giving your money away, but they also tricked you into not believing in your own institutions. They tricked you into not trusting each other. We'll let a white man start a business any day of the week, not bother him at all. Black man starts a business, he makes one mistake, he's done, right? That's one thing that I've noticed in the black community, which is very problematic. But then also, you're working on your business, even your own relatives are like, so you really think that little business is going to turn into something? How you doing in your little business, right? And really, you should turn around and say, well, what about your little job? Your little job, you still in that little job where you still got to ask your boss for permission to use the bathroom? How's that little job going where you can't spend time with your kids because you got to spend all your time with your boss? Is that little job going okay for you? I think a job, to me, business ownership, somebody taking a chance, somebody committing to something bigger than themselves, somebody with a dream, that's big as hell. You ain't got to have no money. If you got a big dream and you're putting in big work for that big dream and you got big passion toward that big thing that you really believe in, and you got a big heart that you committed to that big purpose, well, that's big as hell to me. That's big. You got my respect even before you make your first nickel. Think about this. You created the vision and you're putting in the work and you're putting in the sacrifice and you're putting in the focus. That right there in my book makes you a multimillionaire. It don't matter if you ain't got no money. You can be a millionaire without money because you've already done something that 95% of all people can't even do. You've picked something big and you committed to it. You made the commitment. That's the first step. Before I ever got a chance to be Dr. Boyce Watkins, whatever that means to people, even the people who hate me are still my fans. Even those people will still come and watch me just so they can talk about all the things they hate about me. So that's a sign of respect too. So before I became Dr. Boyce Watkins, that people might talk about or whatever, I had to believe in that guy. I had to be committed to that guy. I had to say, okay, this guy and this mission that this guy has, nobody cares about it but me. I'm like the parent of an ugly little premature baby, but I'm going to keep feeding this baby. And there's nothing I could be distracted by that is more important than what I am doing right now. Do you understand what I am saying? There's no place on this earth I'd rather be than sitting in this chair talking to you. Harvard University could not get my attention. If they called me and said, "Hey, Doc, we want you to put down what you're doing so you can come on." I'd be like, "No, why would I do that? Why would I? Why would I go from the greatest place on the planet to sit next to a bunch of people who don't even like me? Why no? There's nothing in my bones that tells me I want to be around people who don't value me. That's a self-esteem statement. Do you understand? That's a self-esteem statement. Because I know a lot of Negroes who say, well, these people at Harvard, they racist as hell. They be mistreating me, but I want to be here. I'm going to fight to stay here. I'm going to show them that I belong here. Why? Why? What's going on with your self-esteem that makes you want to hang out with people that hate your damn guts? I don't get it. I'm not going to try to convince my enemy to like me because you're my enemy. You're not trying to convince me of nothing except how to leave. You're trying to tell me get the fuck out, and I'm sitting there like, no, I'm gonna prove to you that I belong, and I'm gonna sit next to you whether you want me or not. Do you understand how you're degrading yourself? A person that has value and self-worth doesn't do that. Like it's as simple as like even stuff like dating in a relationship. If somebody don't value you, and you're begging someone who doesn't value you to see your value, you need to stop talking to them and start talking to the mirror. You need to talk to yourself because you're begging them to value you because you don't value yourself. Because if you really valued yourself, like if I go in the store and I got a diamond that is worth $500,000, and I walk in a pawn shop and I say, hey, I got this $500,000 diamond. How much you gonna offer me? And they say, well, I will give you $50. I can sit there and be like, man, what are you talking about, man? This is a $500,000 diamond. Man, this is from I got this from Romania, and it's one of the rare diamonds, man. Let me show you. Maybe no, they're like, well, I'll give you $100. That's it. Nah, man. Oh, you ain't right, man. Right? You try to convince them of the worth of the diamond. But if I really know the value of the diamond, then instead of spending my energy convincing an ignorant person who doesn't see the value to see something that they're probably never going to see, I'm going to just say, okay, no problem. Thank you. Wrap it up. And I'm going to go look for a place that sees the value of that diamond. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand? It's real basic. It's real simple. And it's not like I'm just talking in theory. This is what I actually did. I had a tumultuous experience when I was at Syracuse. I was a badass at finance. I'm not gonna lie. Deion Sanders says I'm that dude when it comes to football. In finance, I was that dude. I was the only black man on the planet, or black woman, black person, period, to get a PhD in finance in the year 2002. That was hard as hell. I can't describe to you. That's why I have no intellectual fear of anyone, because I was trained by the best, and they put me through the ringer. I went through all kinds of hell for many, many years. I did not even finish school till I was 31. It was complete hell. But going through hell is how you get to heaven. Going through the fire is how you get tough. You got to go through and get some battle scars to make you a smart, tough person. So I don't have intellectual fear of anybody. It doesn't mean I'm always right. It just means I'm not going to be afraid of your ideas. That's because I went through that hell. So in finance, I was that dude. I was very good. I was highly recruited. And I got to Syracuse, and it just didn't work out because they did accept me. They were like, oh, black boy, we're going to hire our first black person because blah, blah, blah. Well, the problem is, I wasn't good for your diversity plan because I wasn't going to be a black guy who simply did what you told me to do. I was really bringing a different perspective. And unfortunately, and at 31, I didn't understand this, but sharing power is really difficult. And so I really don't blame them for not wanting to shift how they've been doing things for 100 years just because I came along. I totally get it now. At that time, I didn't. At that time, I was frustrated. I was mad. I was like, man, they don't see this. Look, I'm doing this work, and so many people are benefiting. Unfortunately, the people that were benefiting were people like you and I, people in our community. Those are not the people that are attending Syracuse University. So effectively, it became a really tumultuous, difficult situation where I was frustrated because I said, I don't know why they don't see my worth. So the best move I made, and I'm not going to pretend like I knew it all when I was doing it. I figured it all. I looked at all of it in hindsight, and it makes sense now, is that I was blessed enough to be guided by God to go into a space where I was going to be valued because of who I am rather than being tolerated despite who I am. Those are two different realities. It was so cool to finally be in a space where I could be Dr. Boyce, the loudmouth black man who talks about race and tells it like it is, or whatever it is that I do, and have people love that, have people appreciate that, have people say, wow, thank you for sharing it that way. It's like, this is cool. I wanted to do that at Syracuse, but I couldn't because it wasn't my space to do that. right? So effectively, what I would encourage you to do is start everything with self-love. I believe everything in on earth, damn near everything on the earth starts with love, and then also self-love is a very important part of overcoming racism. If you really love yourself at a high enough level, a white supremacist really can't do nothing to you. They can't. They can't offend you. Well, why would I be offended by your opinion of me? Because I have a great opinion of myself. Even Deion said, yeah, Deion Sanders said that. I said, okay, that's my guy right now. And I felt kind of bad because I was really giving him a lot of heat about leaving Jackson State. And I'm still upset about that. I wish he had stayed, but I love Deion Sanders. I like the way he said, why do I care about your opinion of me? Because your opinion of me does not match the opinion I have of myself. So why in the world? I just ask any black person, anybody who gets offended by something a racist person said, why do you care? Why do you care? Well, maybe the reason you care is because you need their validation in order to feel like you are worthy. Because if you don't need somebody's validation, you don't care what they say about you because you can't react to everything everybody says. And I can tell you, as a person who's loved by many and hated by many, I have to make that discernment. I look for I look for my perception from me, and then I might listen to people who understand me, but I'm not going to listen to somebody who doesn't understand me or somebody who just hates me for no reason or whatever. You don't look to people, you don't look to your enemy for your self-perception ever. You do not do that. So I would say that a lot of the fight starts with self-love, because if you love yourself and you value yourself, then you're going to value what you're doing more than you value what you could be doing for somebody else. Right. So that means that when you start that business, you're going to say that because I love me and because I'm committed to this family and because this family is the most important thing in my life, this is the most important place I can be. Building this business with my kids and my wife is the most important thing I could be pouring my energy into right now, even if the money ain't the same, even if we ain't got there with the money yet. And if you do that, then what happens is that the things that get fed, they grow. The things that don't get fed, they starve. A lot of businesses starve and die because they're not being fed. You don't have time to work on your business or your side hustle because you off at work every day. You're giving your best to him and you're giving the leftovers to yourself. Well, then why would you expect anything to succeed when you don't put energy into it? Stop just dreaming about what you want to do. Stop thinking that a good idea is enough. Stop thinking that you can be inspired for a day and build an empire. You can't build an empire in a day. Empires take tens of thousands of hours of consistent commitment and hard work and dedication. Most people ain't built for that life. But if you are built for that life, then just do it. Commit to it. Commit to it. Every day you wake up and you pour into the thing that matters the most. No different from the way you raise that kid of yours. You got that child that's in their 20s now, maybe in their teens. Well, that child grew to where they are right now because every single day you got up and you were thinking about the baby. Every time you did anything, you were always with the baby, thinking about the baby, taking the baby somewhere, feeding the baby, whatever. And because you consistently poured into the baby was able to grow. If you didn't pour into the baby, then you wouldn't have a relationship and the baby might not even exist. So your business, your future, your wealth, your family, that is the baby. Your legacy, that is the baby. We have an opportunity right now. It is 2023. It is never going to be 2023 ever again. One day when it's 2053, 2063, 2073, I would love for all of us to be able to reflect on what we did in 2023 that began the process of developing whatever empire and magical situation or powerful situation we have in the year 2053, 2063, and 2073. And then also, remember, you have teammates. You ain't got to do it yourself. So pour into people. The biggest investment you can ever make in your life are not stocks and bonds and real estate. It is people. If you invest in people, then those people will carry the baton for you. You get old and tired, you can hand it to your kids. You can hand it to the grandkids. They'll carry on with the same energy and spirit that you poured into them, but you got to train them. You got to train them as if you are a manager at a corporation and you need them to take over the job when you're too tired to do the job. My father gets anything he wants from me because he poured into me. He did not have to be my dad. I was not his biological child, and he could have been out chasing women, he walked away from heroin. He could have been chasing heroin. I'm sure heroin it feels a lot more good to use drugs than it does to take care of a whining ass kid, right? But he made that choice to pour into me. As a result, that man don't want nothing. He don't want for nothing in his retirement. I make sure everything is taken care of to a T because he poured into me. My brother has been my number one business partner for many, many years. Well, when I was a little kid, I had to pour into him. I had to babysit him against my will consistently. 40 hours a week, I had to watch this kid. When I was 12, 13 years old, that felt terrible at the time. But pouring into him meant that we created a relationship that was unbreakable. It was unbreakable. So when I went into business and I needed a partner that would work for me for nothing, my brother was right there. He's like, I'm ready to go. When I go through a tough spot, my brother was right there with me. When I've ever had times where the money wasn't flowing and financials were all backward, my brother never walked away. The rest of the world will walk away from you. Family never will. So, and if you don't have the family that you're looking for, go create one. Go find your family. Find your cousins out there. Find those people you can pour into so that later on when you need somebody, they're going to pour into you. Okay. So these are just some thoughts that I have. I know we deviated from the whole Eric Adams thing. Honestly, these people bore me. These political black people. I don't know what their objective is. It certainly ain't to do nothing for the black community, because ain't nothing that the Democrats or Republicans have done that had a significant impact on the real problem we need to solve. The real problems we got to solve is we got to fix our families and we got to fix our wealth. And then eventually we have to educate our own kids, because they're destroying your children with this horrible school system. And the Democrats, they defend all that. They defend the labor unions. They defend the funding of the schools, even if they're crappy schools. They don't believe in any accountability for these schools based on what I'm seeing. And I think that that's incredibly, horrifically racist. And I don't even want to get into the whole immigration conversation. I have no idea how the black mayor thinks somehow that black people are happy that suddenly you pumped all these people into their communities with no resources, when you wouldn't even give black people the basic resources that they requested. I think that's terrible. So, but I'm gonna let you make that decision politically. I'm not here to really dig into telling you who to vote for and all that other stuff. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna get on out of here. I hope this conversation is helpful. Sorry about all the choking and yelling at my wife, but whatever. That's just shows you the reality of my life. That's what we do. We do regular people stuff. And also, could you please hit that thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Also, don't forget the All Black National Convention is happening October 20th through the 22nd. If you'd like to join us, if you are into peace, prosperity, and productivity in the community, and you want to get away from the nonsense, go to allblacknationalconvention.com. We have many, many experts on family, wealth, everything else. They're going to be there. Also, it's a great way to network and meet other like-minded people. And in addition to that, I also send out profit alerts. You guys know my PhDs in finance. So every Monday, I'll send one out tomorrow of stocks that I like. So if you'd like to get these profit alerts delivered to you via text, this is a free service from the Black Business School. Just text the word stock to 31996. Text stock to 31996, and I'll not just send you the profit alert. I'll also send you a list of AI stocks that I like. I'll send you our $5 a day investing plan. I'll send you our training on how to make money without working. And I also have a list of 10 side hustles that you can start for under $100. I will text that out later on today. So if you like that list of side hustles, just text the word stock to 31996, and I will send it out a little bit later on today. So have a good day, everybody. Thank you for listening. Hit the thumbs up button on your way out, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.